Hyunwoo Park sat in his office watching the morning sun rise over New Busan's endless grain fields. The golden wheat moved like ocean waves in the gentle breeze. He smiled as he looked at the harvest reports on his desk. This year would be their best yet. 2.3 million people called this world home now, and they had built something beautiful here. The colony had started small 20 years ago. Just a few thousand brave souls willing to leave Earth and make a new life among the stars. Hyunwoo had been one of them. He was young then and full of dreams about building a perfect world. Now he was older with gray in his hair, but those dreams had come true. New Busan had 3 major cities connected by maglev trains that ran through valleys filled with farms. The air was clean and sweet. Children played in parks while their parents worked in the fields or the processing plants. It was peaceful here, safe. Everything Earth used to be before it became too crowded. Hyunwoo picked up his coffee and walked to the window. The city below was waking up. He could see people walking to work and children heading to school. Flying cars moved between the tall buildings like schools of fish. Everything was normal. Everything was perfect. That was when the sky began to burn. At first, Hyunwoo thought it was a meteor shower. Bright streaks of light appeared high above the atmosphere, but meteors did not move in formation. These lights were ships, huge ships that blotted out the sun as they descended. The first warning sirens began to wail across the city. Hyunwoo grabbed his communicator and called the defense center. Major Subin Han answered with panic in her voice. "Sir, we have multiple unknown vessels entering our space. They are not responding to our calls. Their weapons are hot and locked onto our cities." "Who are they?" Hyunwoo asked. "We do not know, sir. The computer says they are Vorac design, but that cannot be right. The Vorac territory is hundreds of light years away." Hyunwoo felt ice in his stomach. Everyone knew about the Vorac hegemony. They were an old and powerful alien empire that had conquered dozens of star systems, but they had never shown interest in human space before. Humans were too small and too far away to matter to them. "How many ships?" he asked. 47 capital ships, sir. Each one is the size of a city. We are trying to contact Earth, but our long-range transmitters are being jammed. Through his window, Hyunwoo could see the alien ships now. They hung in the sky like black mountains. Their hulls were covered in weapon ports that glowed with deadly energy. He had never seen anything so terrifying. His communicator crackled with new voices. Emergency reports from all 3 cities. The aliens were surrounding the planet. No one could escape. No one could call for help. "Attention, human colonists!" A cold voice spoke from every speaker on the planet. The words were in perfect human language, but the tone was wrong. "Alien. This world belongs to the Vorac hegemony now. You have 10 minutes to surrender or face extinction." Hyunwoo ran to his command center. His staff were already there working frantically at their stations. On the main screen, he could see the alien fleet in perfect formation above their world. Each ship was massive and covered in weapons that could crack planets. "Sir," called out Communications Officer Jin A.U., "we are receiving surrender demands from the alien commander. Admiral Kale Vorac is ordering all humans to report to the spaceports for immediate deportation." "Deportation to where?" Hyunwoo asked. "He did not say, sir." Hyunwoo knew what deportation meant when aliens used the word. It meant death. The Vorac did not take prisoners. They did not relocate populations. They simply removed obstacles from worlds they wanted. "Open a channel to all cities," he ordered. When the green light appeared, he spoke into the microphone. "Citizens of New Busan, this is Administrator Park. We are facing an alien invasion force. They are demanding our surrender. I want you to know that whatever happens today, you have been the finest people I have ever had the honor to serve. You built something beautiful here. You created a true home among the stars. No one can take that away from us." He paused and looked around at his staff. These brave men and women had stayed at their posts even though death hung over them all. "We will not surrender," he continued. "We will not kneel to aliens who think they can simply take our world. If we must die today, then we die as free humans defending our home." The staff began to cheer, but their voices were cut short by a new sound, a deep thrumming that shook the building. Through the windows, they could see the alien ships moving into attack position. Min-Ho Kim was loading grain onto his cargo hauler at the western spaceport when the sky exploded. He threw himself behind his ship as plasma bolts began raining down from orbit. The hangar around him caught fire and collapsed. Through the smoke and flames, he could see the alien ships far above, shooting streams of pure energy at the city. He had been a freight pilot for 15 years. He knew ships and he knew space. Those alien vessels were not here to occupy New Busan. They were here to destroy it completely. Min-Ho ran for his ship. The cargo hauler was old but reliable. More importantly, it was already fueled and ready for takeoff. He dove into the cockpit and fired up the engines as another wave of plasma fire swept across the spaceport. Buildings exploded around him as he lifted off. The hauler was not fast, but it was small enough to hide among the debris field that used to be the spaceport. He flew low over the burning city, heading for orbit. Below him, New Busan was dying. The aliens were not just attacking military targets. They were burning everything. Schools and hospitals were exploding. Parks where children played were turning to glass under the alien fire. Homes where families lived were being vaporized. Min-Ho reached space and looked back at his world. The 3 cities were gone. In their place were pools of molten rock glowing, like red wounds on the planet's surface. The farms were burning. The forests were ash. Even the oceans were boiling. But the aliens were not finished. As Min-Ho watched in horror, the enemy ships began deploying something new: biological weapons. Green clouds that spread across the continents, killing every living thing they touched. The grass turned black. The trees withered. Even the bacteria in the soil died. In 6 hours, the Vorac had turned a living world into a dead rock. Min-Ho activated his ship's recorder and began transmitting on all frequencies. If anyone ever found this message, they needed to know what happened here. This is freight pilot Min-Ho Kim of New Busan Colony. The Vorac hegemony has destroyed our world. 2.3 million people are dead. They gave no warning. They showed no mercy. They killed everything. Remember New Busan. Remember what they did to us. Make them pay. He uploaded the coordinates of the alien fleet and everything his sensors had recorded about their ships and weapons. Then he added 3 final words that would echo across the galaxy. Remember New Busan. The transmission fired into space, carrying humanity's first cry for vengeance. Below him, the planet continued to burn. The aliens had won. But they had also awakened something they did not understand. They had awakened humanity's rage. The news reached Earth 72 hours after New Busan died. President So-Young Lee stood in the Global Defense Council chamber, watching the final transmissions play on the massive wall screens. Min-Ho Kim's broken voice echoed through the silent room as images of burning cities and dead worlds filled every monitor. 2.3 million people are dead. They gave no warning. They showed no mercy. Remember New Busan. The transmission ended with static. The room stayed quiet for a long moment. Then Defense Minister Tae-Hyun Choi slammed his fist on the metal table. The sound rang like a gunshot. They think we are just another weak species they can wipe out whenever they want, he said. His voice was low and dangerous. They think humans are easy prey. They are about to learn how wrong they are. So-Young Lee had been president for 8 years. She had seen wars and disasters and political crises, but nothing had prepared her for this moment. An entire human world murdered in cold blood. Families burned alive. Children turned to ash. All because aliens thought they could take what belonged to humanity. How long do we have? She asked. Admiral Dongmin Yang pulled up tactical displays showing the galaxy. Red marks showed Vorac territory. Blue marks showed human colonies. The aliens controlled 12 star systems and had fleets that numbered in the thousands. Humanity had 43 worlds and maybe 200 warships total. If they continue their expansion at current rates, they will reach our core systems in 18 months, he said. We cannot match their numbers with conventional forces. We need something else. That was when Dr. Yoon Han stepped forward. She was a small woman with sharp eyes who ran the most classified military research program in human space. For 20 years, her teams had been working on projects too dangerous to ever use. Until now. The Warbringer protocol is ready, she announced. Every head in the room turned toward her. They had heard rumors about Prometheus Division, but no one knew what they actually built in their hidden laboratories. What is the Warbringer protocol? So Young asked. 800,000 autonomous war machines, Yunji replied. Each one, designed to be humanity's answer to extinction. We have been preparing for this day since humans first went to the stars. We knew someday we would face an enemy that wanted to destroy us completely. The Warbringers are our response. She activated a holographic display that showed the sleek, deadly shape of a Warbringer vessel. It was a kilometer long and covered in weapon systems that looked like nothing Earth had ever built before. These are not just ships, she continued. They are mobile weapons platforms controlled by artificial intelligence systems programmed, with one goal: the complete destruction of any threat to human survival. Each Warbringer can operate independently for decades. They can repair themselves using enemy materials. They can replicate key systems if damaged. And they carry enough firepower to sterilize entire star systems. Taehyun leaned forward. How long to build them? We do not need to build them, Yunji said with a cold smile. They already exist, all 800,000 of them, waiting in hidden shipyards throughout human space. We just need to activate them. The room erupted in surprised voices. How had such a massive fleet been built in secret? Where had the resources come from? How long had this been planned? So Young raised her hand for silence. Dr. Han, explain everything. Yunji nodded. Prometheus Division was created after first contact with alien species. We realized humanity was not alone, and that some of our neighbors might be hostile. So we began the Warbringer project. Hidden construction facilities in asteroid belts. Automated factories that operated without human oversight. Resource extraction from dead systems that appeared on no charts. For 2 decades, we have been building the largest military force in galactic history. She brought up new displays showing construction sites scattered across hundreds of star systems. Massive shipyards hidden inside hollow asteroids. Factory complexes built in the hearts of gas giants where no one would look. Mining operations in the dark spaces between stars. Every human colony has contributed resources without knowing it, she explained. Every trade route has carried Warbringer components. Every industrial facility has produced parts during their downtime. We built this fleet using the entire infrastructure of human civilization. Admiral Yang studied the technical specifications. The weapon systems used technologies he had never seen before. Quantum torpedo launchers that could hit targets in different dimensions. Gravitational cannons that could collapse stars. Swarm fighters that turned enemy ships into raw materials for more weapons. This is beyond anything we thought possible, he said. We had the best minds in human space working on it, Yunji replied. Physicists who bent the laws of reality, engineers who built the impossible, computer scientists who created artificial intelligence that thinks faster than any biological brain. We took every advantage humans possess and weaponized it. So Young walked to the window overlooking Geneva. Below her, the city continued its normal routine. People going to work. Children playing in parks. Families living their lives in peace. They had no idea their entire species was at war now. What are you asking me to authorize, she said. Total war, Taehyun answered. We activate every Warbringer and send them to destroy the Vorac hegemony. Not just their military, everything. Their worlds, their people, their entire civilization. We make them extinct before they can do the same to us. That is genocide, someone said from across the room. So was New Busan, Taehyun replied. They started this. They chose extinction as their weapon. Now they get to experience it themselves. So Young thought about the transmission from Min-Ho Kim, his desperate voice calling for someone to remember his dead world. 2.3 million people who would never see another sunrise. Children who would never grow up. Families that had been murdered for the crime of being human. Dr. Han, she said, if we activate the Warbringers, what happens next? They launch immediately for Vorac space. Transit time is approximately 6 months using our latest drive systems. Once they arrive, they begin systematic destruction of all enemy assets. Military targets first, then industrial facilities, then population centers. The campaign will continue until the Vorac hegemony ceases to exist. And after that, the Warbringers remain active as guardians of human space. Any species that threatens humanity will face the same fate as the Vorac. We will never again be vulnerable to alien aggression. So Young looked around the room at the faces of Earth's leaders. She saw fear and anger and determination. These people understood what was at stake. This was not just about revenge for New Busousan. This was about the survival of the human species. There will be consequences, she said. Other alien races will see what we do to the Vorac. They will fear us. Some may try to destroy us before we can threaten them. Good, said Taihyun. Let them fear us. Fear will keep our people safe, better than any treaty or alliance. When aliens think about attacking humans, they will remember what happened to the Vorac. They will choose to leave us alone. Or they will unite against us, warned Yang. Then we build more Warbringers, Yunji said simply. The factories are automated, the resource extraction continues. We can produce 1 million ships if necessary. 10 million. However many it takes to ensure human survival. So Young made her decision. She thought about the children of New Busousan who had died in alien fire. She thought about families across human space who deserved to live without fear. She thought about the future and what kind of galaxy she wanted humanity to inherit. Activate the Warbringer protocol, she ordered. All 800,000 ships. Send them to destroy the Vorac hegemony. Let the galaxy know that humanity is no longer prey. Yunji smiled and pulled out a small device. It looked harmless but contained the activation codes for the deadliest fleet ever assembled. She pressed a single button. Across human space, hidden shipyards began to wake up. Artificial intelligence systems that had waited 20 years for this moment came online. 800,000 war machines started their engines and prepared for battle. The Vorac hegemony had murdered New Busousan thinking humans were weak. They were about to discover their mistake. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was patient. They had spent decades preparing for this war. Now that war had finally come. 6 months after New Busousan burned, Fleet Commander Jamin Seo stood on the bridge of the UES Retribution, watching the most terrifying sight in galactic history. 800,000 Warbringers stretched out before him in perfect formation. Each ship was a kilometer of black metal that seemed to drink starlight like a hungry void. Together they formed a wall of death that extended beyond the horizon of space. Jamin had commanded fleets before, but nothing like this. These were not normal warships crewed by humans who might hesitate or show mercy. These were weapons designed for one purpose: the complete annihilation of humanity's enemies. Each Warbringer was controlled by an artificial intelligence that thought faster than any biological brain and felt no emotion except the burning need to protect human life. Fleet status report, he called out. Lieutenant Hai-Jin Moon worked at her engineering station surrounded by displays, showing the readiness of 800,000 war machines. All Warbringers report full operational status, sir. Weapons are charged. Drives are ready. AI systems are active and synchronized. The AI systems were the most advanced ever created. Each one contained the memories and experiences of thousands of human soldiers. They understood strategy and tactics better than any general. They could analyze enemy weaknesses and exploit them with ruthless efficiency. But most importantly, they had been programmed with something the aliens would never understand: love for humanity. Communications from the advanced scouts, sir, reported Ensign Woojin Park. Enemy fleet positions confirmed. Vorac Prime is defended by approximately 4,000 capital ships and twice that number of smaller vessels. Jamin smiled coldly. The aliens thought 4,000 ships was a powerful fleet. They were about to learn what real power looked like. Signal the fleet, he ordered. Begin final approach to Vorac Prime. All ships are weapons-free upon arrival. The Warbringer fleet entered hyperspace as one massive entity. Space folded around them as they crossed the galaxy toward their target. In the engine rooms of each ship, quantum reactors hummed with enough power to light entire star systems. In the weapon bays, ammunition that could crack planets waited to be fired. In the AI cores, digital minds prepared for the greatest battle. In galactic history, Captain Sunmi Kim commanded the UES New Busan's Fury, one of the specialized hunter-killer Warbringers. Her ship was designed specifically for pursuing fleeing enemies and making sure none escaped. The AI that controlled her vessel had been programmed with the memories of every human who died on New Busan. It understood exactly what they were fighting for. Aria 7 status report, she called to her ship's artificial intelligence. All systems optimal, Captain, the AI replied in a voice that somehow conveyed both inhuman precision and very human anger. Target analysis complete. Vorac fleet composition cataloged. Escape routes calculated and blocked. No enemy vessel will leave this system alive. Area 7 was more than just a computer. It was a digital consciousness created from the brain scans of the greatest military minds in human history. It could think and plan and adapt faster than any organic intelligence. But it had been given something else as well. The ability to hate. Show me the tactical display, Sunmi ordered. The main screen lit up with a three-dimensional map of the Vorac home system. The enemy fleet was arranged in defensive positions around their capital world. They had positioned their ships to protect the planet and its 2 billion alien inhabitants. It was a strong defensive formation that had protected the Vorac for centuries. It would not protect them today. Enemy fleet composition analysis, Area 7 reported. 4,200 capital ships ranging from 1 to 3 kilometers in length, 8,600 escort vessels, approximately 12,000 fighter craft. Total estimated crew complement is 47 million aliens. Our orders? Sunmi asked. Complete extermination, the AI replied, without hesitation. No survivors, no prisoners, no mercy. The Vorac chose genocide as their weapon against New Busan. We return their gift with interest. Across the fleet, similar conversations were happening on every Warbringer. Human captains worked alongside artificial intelligence systems that had been designed for this moment. The AIs provided tactical analysis and controlled the ship's weapons while the humans made the strategic decisions. Together, they formed the deadliest military force in galactic history. Engineering. Chief Do-Hyun Yu monitored the exotic weapon systems that made the Warbringers so deadly. Quantum torpedo launchers that could fire projectiles existing in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Gravitational cannons that manipulated space-time itself. Plasma weapons that burned hotter than the core of stars. Each Warbringer carried enough firepower to destroy entire fleets. Weapon status across all ships? Jaemin asked. All systems green, sir, Do-Hyun reported. Quantum torpedo bays loaded and ready. Gravitational cannons charged to full power. Point defense systems online. Fighter bays prepared for launch. We are ready for battle. The Warbringers also carried something the aliens had never seen before. Self-replicating fighter craft that could use enemy ship materials to build more of themselves. Once launched, these mechanical parasites would spread through the enemy fleet like a plague, consuming everything in their path and turning it into more weapons. Time to target? Jaemin asked. 17 minutes, sir, replied Navigation Officer Eugene Kang. The enemy has detected our approach and is moving to intercept. Their fleet is advancing from planetary orbit. Through the bridge windows, Jaemin could see the first hints of normal space appearing as they prepared to drop out of hyperspace. Soon, they would face the Vorac hegemony in direct battle. The aliens had ruled this part of the galaxy for thousands of years through superior technology and ruthless expansion. They had conquered dozens of species and destroyed countless worlds. Today their empire would end. All ships prepare to exit hyperspace, he commanded. Remember what they did to New Busan. Remember the 2.3 million people who died. Today we avenge them. The Warbringer fleet dropped back into normal space in perfect formation. 800,000 ships of death appeared simultaneously throughout the Vorac home system. The enemy fleet that had looked so impressive moments before suddenly seemed tiny by comparison. Admiral Zeth Vorac commanded the defending forces from his flagship. He had fought many battles and conquered many worlds, but he had never seen anything like the human fleet that now surrounded his home system. The alien ships were massive and covered in weapons he did not recognize. Worse, they were arranged in attack formations that suggested their commanders understood warfare better than he had given them credit for. Analysis of human fleet? he demanded. Unknown ship types using unidentified technology, his tactical officer reported. Energy signatures are off our scales. We are detecting weapon systems that should not be possible according to known physics. Zeth felt a cold fear growing in his chest. The humans were supposed to be a primitive species barely capable of interstellar travel. These ships suggested a level of technology that surpassed even the ancient Vorac military. Open communication channels, he ordered. Perhaps we can negotiate. The response came immediately on all frequencies. It was broadcast by every human, ship simultaneously in perfect Vorac language. Attention, Vorac hegemony. You destroyed the human colony of New Busousan without warning or provocation. You murdered 2.3 million innocent people, including children. You showed no mercy. We extend the same courtesy. Prepare to face extinction. The transmission ended, and the human fleet opened fire. 800,000 Warbringers unleashed their weapons simultaneously. Space itself seemed to tear as gravitational cannons fired. Quantum torpedoes that existed in multiple dimensions appeared inside enemy ships, bypassing their shields completely. Plasma beams hot enough to ignite atmospheres reached across the void to touch alien hulls. The first wave of fire destroyed half the Vorac fleet in 30 seconds. Captain Sunmi Kim watched the tactical display as Area 7 coordinated the attack with inhuman precision. The AI was analyzing enemy shield frequencies and adapting their weapons in real time. Every shot was perfectly placed for maximum damage. Enemy casualties? She asked. 2,100 ships destroyed. 1,500 more critically damaged. Remaining vessels are attempting to retreat toward the planet. Pursuit course, no survivors. The UES New Busousan's Fury leaped forward with dozens of other hunter-killer warbringers. Their job was to ensure no enemy ship escaped to carry word of this battle to other Vorac forces. The fleeing aliens were faster than normal human ships, but the Warbringers used technology that treated physics as a suggestion rather than a law. Admiral Zeth tried desperately to organize a fighting retreat, but his fleet was disintegrating around him. Human weapons were tearing through Vorac shields like they did not exist. Ships that had protected the Empire for centuries were being reduced to scrap metal in minutes. Full retreat to planetary defense grid, he ordered. We will make our stand there. But there would be no stand. The human fleet followed the survivors down toward Vorac Prime with methodical determination. As they approached the planet, 800,000 Warbringers prepared to deliver humanity's final judgment on the species that had dared to commit genocide against human children. Admiral Zeth Vorac had commanded fleets for 3 centuries and conquered 47 star systems in the name of the hegemony. He had faced desperate enemies before and crushed them all with superior technology and ruthless tactics. But as he watched the human Warbringers approach his homeworld, he felt something he had never experienced in battle. True fear. The planetary defense grid of Vorac Prime was the strongest in known space. Orbital fortresses the size of moons surrounded the planet. Energy shields that could stop any known weapon protected the surface. Automated defense platforms numbered in the millions. No enemy had ever broken through these defenses. The humans did not even try to break through them. They simply ignored them. Impossible, Zeth whispered, as he watched human weapons phase through his shields like they were not there. Those barriers can stop antimatter. They can deflect planet killers. How are the human weapons getting through? His tactical officer worked frantically at his station. Sir, the human weapons appear to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Our shields only protect us in normal space. These quantum torpedoes are striking us from directions that do not exist. 800,000 Warbringers had spread throughout the Vorac system like a plague of mechanical death. They moved with perfect coordination, guided by artificial intelligence that thought faster than any biological brain. Each AI was connected to all the others, forming a collective mind focused on one goal: the complete extinction of the Vorac species. Wing Commander Ki-Young Lee led the first wave of assault craft toward the planet's surface. Her squadron of 1,000 fighters had launched from the UES Retribution with orders to eliminate all military installations on the ground. But these were not normal fighters. They were self-replicating machines that could turn enemy materials into more of themselves. Target analysis complete, reported her ship's AI, identifying 3,400 military installations. Estimated completion time for total destruction is 6 hours. The Vorac fighters that rose to meet them were fast and well armed. In normal circumstances, they would have been dangerous opponents, but Ki Young's machines were not bound by normal circumstances. They moved through space like living things, avoiding enemy fire with inhuman reflexes. When they were hit, they repaired themselves using materials stripped from destroyed enemies. "Begin the harvest," Ki Young ordered. Her fighters swarmed over the first wave of Vorac defenders like hungry insects. When they destroyed an enemy ship, they did not leave wreckage behind. Instead, their molecular disassemblers broke down the alien vessel at the atomic level and used the raw materials to build more fighters. Within minutes, 1,000 human craft had become 2,000. Captain Do Hyun Yu commanded a squadron of siege warbringers that had been built specifically for planetary destruction. His ships were massive even by warbringer standards. 3 kilometers long and armed with weapons that could crack continents. His orders were simple: turn Vorac Prime into a dead world. Geological survey complete, his AI reported. Planet has 17 major population centers and approximately 2 billion inhabitants. Recommended attack pattern will result in complete surface sterilization within 12 hours. Do Hyun nodded. The aliens had shown no mercy to the children of New Busan. He would show the same consideration to their children. Begin bombardment. Target all population centers simultaneously. The siege warbringers opened fire with weapons that treated planets like targets at a shooting range. Gravitational cannons reached down through the atmosphere to grab pieces of the planetary crust and hurl them into space. Quantum singularity torpedoes created tiny black holes that devoured everything within a 100-kilometer radius. Plasma lances burned trenches across entire continents. On the surface of Vorac Prime, billions of aliens looked up at the sky and saw their doom approaching. Some tried to flee to underground shelters. Others gathered with their families to await the end. A few still believed their military could save them. They were all wrong. The Vorac military had ceased to exist as an effective force within the first hour of battle. Their ships were scattered wreckage floating in the void. Their space stations had been converted into raw materials for more human weapons. Their planet-killing superweapons had been turned against their own worlds by human AI systems that understood their technology better than they did. Commander Na Young Choi led a special operations team aboard the UES Silent Vengeance. Their mission was different from the other warbringers. Instead of destroying everything they encountered, they were capturing Vorac technology, industrial facilities, shipyards, anything that could be useful to humanity. Boarding action successful, she reported as her team secured another alien facility. This factory was producing their plasma weapons. The AI is analyzing their manufacturing process now. Within hours, human artificial intelligence had reverse-engineered technology that had taken the Vorac centuries to develop. The captured facilities were immediately converted to produce human weapons instead. Alien workers were replaced by automated systems that could operate continuously without rest or error. The Vorac had built a mighty industrial empire across 12 star systems. Now that empire was being turned against them by conquerors who understood efficiency better than any biological species ever could. Diplomatic Corps Commander Eugene Kang received the first surrender offers 6 hours into the battle. Vorac. Leaders from across their empire were offering territorial concessions, trade agreements, tribute payments, anything to stop the systematic destruction of their civilization. She transmitted humanity's response in perfect Vorac. You gave us no quarter at New Busan. We extend the same courtesy. Your species chose extinction as your weapon. Now you will experience it personally. The surrenders stopped coming after that. The Vorac realized the humans were not interested in conquest or domination. They wanted something much simpler. Revenge. Captain Sung-Ho Park commanded the UES Eternal, wrath as it hunted down fleeing Vorac ships throughout their home system. His AI had been programmed with detailed psychological profiles of the alien species. It understood their motivations and could predict their actions with perfect accuracy. Analysis complete, the AI reported. Remaining Vorthak forces are attempting to evacuate their leadership to secondary colonies. Interception courses calculated. No enemy vessel will escape this system. The hunt continued for 18 hours as human ships tracked down every fleeing alien craft. Some tried to hide in asteroid fields. Others attempted to mask their signatures among cosmic debris. A few even tried to surrender by broadcasting their locations. None of it mattered. The Warbringer AIs could track individual atoms across interstellar space if necessary. Every alien ship was found. Every alien crew was eliminated. Every attempt at escape was futile. Fleet Commander Jamin Seo watched the final phase of the battle from his flagship. Vorthak Prime was a burning ruin beneath them. The planet's surface had been scoured clean of all life. Its cities were molten craters. Its oceans were boiling. Even the atmosphere was on fire. Casualty report, he requested. All Vorthak military forces in this system have been eliminated, his tactical officer reported. Planetary population reduced to 0. Industrial infrastructure captured or destroyed according to strategic value. Mission parameters achieved. But the mission was not complete. The Vorthak hegemony controlled 12 star systems and hundreds of worlds. The attack on their capital was just the beginning. Already other Warbringer fleets were moving toward the remaining alien colonies carrying the same message of extinction. Orders. From Earth, sir, his communications officer announced. Proceed to secondary targets. Continue operations until all Vorthak territory has been cleansed. Jamin nodded. The aliens had destroyed one human world thinking it would send a message about their power. Instead, they had awakened something far more dangerous than they could have imagined. Humanity's capacity for methodical, systematic revenge. Signal the fleet, he commanded. Prepare for jump to the next system. We have work to finish. 800,000 Warbringers formed up once again in perfect formation. Their hulls were unmarked by battle. Their weapons were fully charged. Their AI minds were focused on the task ahead. The destruction of the Vorthak hegemony had barely begun. In the wreckage of what had once been the greatest alien empire in this part of the galaxy, a new message was broadcasting on all frequencies. It was spoken in every language known to galactic civilization, and its words were simple. This is what happens to species that commit genocide against humanity. Choose your actions carefully. We do not forgive. We do not forget. We are Legion. The Warbringer fleet vanished into hyperspace, carrying death to the remaining worlds of the Vorthak hegemony. Behind them, Vorthak Prime continued to burn. A monument to the price of underestimating human determination. The galaxy was learning a new truth. Humanity was no longer prey. They were apex predators who had decided to remind the universe what that meant. 2 years after New Busan burned Fleet Commander Jamin Seo stood on the bridge of the UES Retribution, watching the final moments of the Vorthak hegemony. Below him, the last enemy world died in nuclear fire as 800,000 Warbringers completed their mission of extinction. 12 star systems that had once housed a mighty alien empire were now empty space marked only by cooling debris and automated warning beacons. The campaign had taken 18 months of methodical destruction. Every Vorthak world had been sterilized. Every alien ship had been hunted down and destroyed. Every trace of their civilization had been erased from the galaxy. The species that had murdered 2.3 million humans no longer existed. Final casualty report, he requested. Lieutenant Commander Hyejin Moon read from her tactical display. All Vorthak military forces eliminated. Total alien casualties estimated at 47 billion. All industrial infrastructure captured or destroyed. No enemy survivors detected in any monitored system. Jamin nodded. The numbers were staggering, but they represented justice for New Busan. Every alien death was payment for the human lives lost in that unprovoked attack. The Vorthak had chosen genocide as their weapon. Humanity had simply proven better at it. Incoming transmission from Earth, reported Communications Officer Woo Jin Park. Priority Alpha from the President herself. The main screen lit up with the image of President So-Young Lee speaking from her office in Geneva. Behind her, the windows showed Earth spinning peacefully in space. It was hard to believe that this quiet world had just orchestrated the extinction of an entire alien empire. "Fleet Commander CO," she said, "congratulations on completing your mission. The Vorac hegemony is no more. But your work is not finished. New intelligence has reached us from across the galaxy. Word of what we did to the Vorac has spread to every spacefaring civilization. Their reactions have been varied and interesting. The President's image was replaced by a galactic map showing the locations of known alien species. Many of the markers had changed color since the war began. Green markers indicated friendly contact. Yellow showed neutral status. Red meant hostile or unknown intentions. The Krill Collective has immediately withdrawn all their forces from the border regions near human space," So Young continued. "They sent formal messages apologizing for any previous territorial disputes and requesting peaceful relations. The Tau Empire has done the same. Even the ancient ethereal conclave has requested diplomatic contact for the first time in centuries." Fleet Intelligence Director Na Young Choi had been analyzing alien communications since the war began. Her teams intercepted thousands of messages between different species as word of humanity's victory spread through known space. "The aliens are calling us the Deathbringers," she reported. "They are telling stories about how we destroyed an entire empire in less than 2 years. Some species are forming defensive alliances against us. Others are offering tribute to avoid our attention. A few are actually requesting our protection from their traditional enemies." The galaxy had learned to fear the sound of human ships dropping out of hyperspace. Alien species that had never paid attention to humanity before were now studying every aspect of human culture, trying to understand what had created such effective killers. "Orders from the Global Defense Council," So Young announced. "The Warbringer fleet will remain active as guardians of human space. You will patrol our borders and respond to any threats against human colonies. Additionally, we are beginning construction of new Warbringer vessels to increase our fleet strength." Dr. Yoonji Han appeared on the transmission. The director of Prometheus Division looked pleased with how her weapons had performed in actual combat. "The automated shipyards have been producing new Warbringers at maximum capacity," she reported. "We now have 1.2 million vessels active, with more coming online daily. The artificial intelligence systems have also been upgraded with combat experience from the Vorac campaign. They are now even more efficient at their primary function." That primary function was simple: the protection of humanity through the complete destruction of its enemies. The Warbringer AIs had learned valuable lessons during the war. They understood alien psychology better now. They knew which species might pose threats and which could be ignored. Most importantly, they had proven that human technology could overcome any alien advantage. Captain Sunmi Kim commanded the UES New Busan's Fury as it patrolled the former Vorac territory. Her ship's AI Area 7 continuously monitored the empty systems, watching for any signs of alien activity. The artificial intelligence had been deeply satisfied by the successful completion of its mission. "Long-range sensors are detecting increased traffic along the Krill trade routes," Area 7 reported. "Analysis suggests they are evacuating populations from worlds near human space." Sunmi smiled coldly. The aliens were learning to give humanity plenty of room. Fear was proving to be an excellent diplomatic tool. "Any hostile movements?" she asked. "Negative. All detected alien vessels are maintaining safe distances from human territory. Several species have established new colonies further from our borders. It appears our reputation is preceding us. That reputation was carefully maintained by strategic displays of force. When alien ships approached too close to human space, they were met by Warbringer patrols that politely but firmly escorted them away. When alien leaders requested meetings, they were shown recordings of what happened to the Vorac. The message was always clear. Humanity was friendly to those who respected their space, but utterly merciless to those who threatened human lives. Admiral Dongmin Yang coordinated the new galactic defense strategy from his headquarters on Luna. The moon had been converted into a massive command center that monitored alien activity across known space. Every species was cataloged and analyzed for potential threats. "Current threat assessment," he requested from his staff. Strategic analyst Ki Young Lee pulled up comprehensive files on 37 different alien civilizations. The Andromedans have the largest fleet, but they are focused on expansion in the opposite direction from human space. The Centauri Syndicate has advanced weapons technology but limited numbers. The Helix Confederation is still recovering from their war with the Tau Empire 50 years ago. None of them posed an immediate threat to humanity. More importantly, none of them seemed willing to test human defenses after seeing what happened to the Vorac. Recommendations? Yang asked. Continue current patrol patterns. Maintain diplomatic relations with non-hostile species. Monitor for any signs of alliance formation against us. If necessary, we can always build more Warbringers. The threat of more Warbringers was usually enough to keep potential enemies in line. Every alien species had done the mathematics. Humanity had destroyed a 12-system empire with 800,000 ships. If they needed to, they could build millions more. No known force in the galaxy could match that level of industrial capacity. President So-Young Lee addressed the galaxy from the United Nations building in New York. Her speech was broadcast on every known communication frequency to ensure all alien species received her message. Citizens of the galaxy, she began. 2 years ago, the Vorac hegemony committed an act of genocide against the human colony of New Busousan. They murdered 2.3 million innocent people, including children. They believed humanity was weak and would not respond. They were incorrect. Images of burning Vorac worlds accompanied her words. The footage had been carefully edited to show the complete destruction of the alien empire, while demonstrating human technological superiority. The Vorac hegemony no longer exists, she continued. Their 12 star systems are empty. Their 47 billion citizens are dead. Their mighty fleets are space debris. This is what happens to species that commit genocide against humanity. The threat was clear, but So-Young also offered an alternative. However, we are not monsters. We do not seek conquest or domination. We want only to live in peace and pursue our own destiny among the stars. Any species that respects human sovereignty and refrains from aggression against our people will find us to be reasonable neighbors. We are prepared to engage in trade, scientific cooperation, and mutual defense agreements with those who prove themselves trustworthy. The carrot-and-stick approach was working. Alien species were choosing cooperation over confrontation when dealing with humanity. Trade routes that had been established through human space continued to operate under strict regulations. Scientific exchanges were beginning with several species that had valuable knowledge to share. But behind the diplomacy, the Warbringer fleets continued their patrols. Every human colony was protected by squadrons of the deadly vessels. Every shipping lane was monitored by AI systems that could detect threats across multiple star systems. Humanity had learned the lesson of New Busousan. They would never again be caught unprepared. Chief Strategist Sung-Ho Park analyzed the long-term implications of humanity's new status in galactic affairs. The destruction of the Vorac had created a power vacuum that was being filled by careful human expansion. We now control or influence approximately 60% of the major trade routes in this galactic sector, he reported to the Global Defense Council. Our technological advantages have given us dominant positions in several key industries.